Welcome to Church of the Chair, where we celebrate all the things we do while seated. I'm your host, E, here with my co-host, Chad Lutzke, and we are working on a collaborative effort. It's going to be a novel, tentatively called Planet Caravan. A lot of these streams is just us writing, so if you want to write along with us, please feel free to do so. We will also be talking our way through any issues that pop up, any plot changes, any of that stuff. So as we work along, you're going to hear a lot of that. This is episode 9, I think. Yeah, episode 9. Noveling Intensifies. Anyways, I'm loving the challenge of having to name these things something different every day. Let's see here. Comments on. Anyways, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to read what Chad. I'll share my screen so you guys can read what Chad has done. All right. He is in the process of blending and rewriting a chapter I wrote called Coke and a Smile. You can see all my stuff down here that he's been incorporating throughout. And that's pretty much what we've been doing so far. We kind of fell into that easy routine. I've been writing ahead. He's been cleaning up. Good morning, Cammy. How are you doing? Deliriously talented.
Cammy!
Deliriously talented gentleman. Yeah. Cammy pops into my streams every now and again, man.
Cammy's awesome.
Yeah, I know. She comes in every now and again. I'm always happy to see her. She gave me my first, little known fact, she gave me my first copy, hardcover copy of the Bachman books. And I got to sit right about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was I did a video on the Bachman books, and for the longest time, I only had the paperback. It was a big paperback, but it's a yellow, ugly motherfucker. And I was like, I've been looking for a first edition, even if it's not a first edition. It can be a book club edition. I just want a hardcover for my shelf, right? And Cammy hit me up and said, hey, I'm going to send you something. And that's what she sent me. And I was like, holy shit. And since then, I found like 3 or 4 other ones, either the same one or the one, the UK version. And I've sent them off to everyone. I've kept the one Cammy sent me, but I've sent all the rest of them off because, paying it forward and whatnot. But as soon as it never fails, if I'm hunting something in the wild and I don't come across it forever, then either I find it or someone sends it to me. I end up finding it over and over and over again after that. I call it the PT Cruiser paradox. I never saw a blue PT Cruiser before I bought one.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that's up with that, but and I know it's just experience alters perception. But at the same time, when you have something, you see it everywhere. When you don't, you just kind of out of sight.
Yeah.
But yes,
I liken it to when you get your heart broken, you're no longer with this chick anymore. You see her car freaking everywhere in town.
Yep. Anyway, I'm doing fantastic, Cammy. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing well too. It's funny when you're not looking. There it is. Yep. It makes me so happy that you kept mine though. Oh, of course, definitely. Anytime anyone sends me, I have stuff from people that did me so dirty that I never want to even hear their name mentioned again. But I still have that item because it reminds me of the good times, So I keep everything. I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to gifts and things of that nature. If someone gives me something, it doesn't go anywhere. Let's see. Okay, so we are on Coke and a Smile. And it should be up on the screen. It is, if you guys want to read along. Cammy, we're probably going to be quiet. I understand if you don't hang around, it's fine. But we're probably going to be quiet because we are working. Working and twerking. Am I missing something here? Cassidy curls up on the couch, sits in the cloud. Like, is the hang on, don't tell me. Are you saying that the couch cushion's busted and it's got fluff, or did you
no, yeah, I can understand why there might be confusion. No, I had talked about earlier just about breathing all the secondhand smoke and how they got out of there when they.
Oh, sits. Okay, all right, I got you.
And hence the reference to he'll be eating the pizza, but we can say something like the marijuana cloud or.
No, it's no. I actually think it's fine. Hang on. Let me read it all together again. Maybe it does need something. I don't know why, but my brain's like, there's too much time between the first. Maybe accumulated cloud, accumulated smoke. I don't know. I like cloud, but that one threw me. Maybe I'm just not awake yet. We'll come back to it. I'm not going to get stuck on something like that.
Oh shoot! I forgot to change something.
That's fucked up. Hunter stealing the bike from the library. My wife has had so much stuff stolen at libraries.
Mm-hmm.
She's had her Kindle stolen from a library, her entire bag. This is when we were down in, I think it's Spanish Fort in Daphne. And it wasn't even like a bad neighborhood or anything. It's just she'd set something down and it would disappear. Like,
freaking hate thieves, man.
Yeah. Come back here. Great edit. Sure got them floppy tits though. Like some burrito. Ew, Hunter.
I just want them saying the most inappropriate things in front of these kids.
Right. Oh no, I'm fine with that shit. Look who you're talking to, man. Come on. I'm down for that shit. You see what would have happened had you let me open up the book? The first paragraph would have been nothing but cuss words. Why do I love the fact that you moved the puckered and pink nipple to the beginning of the paragraph instead of the end of it? I'm sorry, it's like right up front. That's the first thing Shane noticed. It's his cousin's nipple poking out of his shirt. It's such a random fucking scene. There's
I love it.
Yeah,
I think it's so far it might be one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's such a random bit of. Yeah.
Just a perfect example of how screwed up these people are.
Yeah. Oh boy. It's good times. Is he a good man? I'm like, merge it to the ground. I'm reading your stuff backwards. It's funny. Yeah, I already read that. Never mind. I'll watch you work. That's a cool thing to witness. Well, sit down, kick back, relax, grab some snacks, and enjoy yourself.
I've never read a Louis Lamar book, so I wanted to use something specific from a book he might be reading. So I went to Wikipedia and I looked up the whole bibliography of Louis Lamar. And sometimes, like with movies, not always, but sometimes with movies or books, you can click on the link. It'll tell you like pretty much every detail of the book, like the whole plot and everything.
Yeah.
They had that for only one book of his out of all of them.
Well, he wrote like hundreds of books,
Yeah.
didn't he? Yeah.
Well, the list that they had on there was a link to two of them. One just talked about the book was named after a land or a town he wanted to start or something. And then the other one actually had like the plot summary, and it talked about this character being woken by a wolf trying to steal bacon, and then that just turned into a, kind of a metaphor for whatever's going on here with these. So that worked out great.
Cool.
Just finding that by a pure accident.
I love it when stuff like that happens. That's the magic. That's that magic I've been talking about. God damn it.
We are at, for the listeners, we are at 11,000 words, just over 11,000 words.
Ooh, baby, I like the way this is growing. That's what she said. All right. Yeah, we're not even at the carnival yet.
We're not at the meat of anything. So,
yeah, because once we get to the carnival, it's going to be almost like a reset. We got to introduce a whole new cast of characters. We gotta describe the carnival, how the inner workings play out, and all that stuff. So
Yeah. And just the night, even just the night before will probably be at least. I mean, I'm guessing, but at least a couple thousand words.
yeah, we'll probably hit 20,000 before we get before he actually arrives and starts living with the carnival or rolling with
Yeah,
the carnival or
probably.
whatever.
Yeah.
And that'll work perfectly because I foresee the middle section to be anywhere from 25 to 40,000 in and of itself.
Yeah.
All the running around, the road tripping, going from location to location, all that shit.
Subplot stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last bit, maybe like 10, 15,000 closing, falling action, that stuff.
Yeah.
Climax, falling action, outro, all that. Yeah. We're looking at least, I would say at least 65,000 words. And now that the chapters are short-ish, they're not short, like, they're not like Patterson, but they're definitely cliffhanger chapters, which is going to keep people speeding through it. So at 65, 70,000 words, this will still be for most people like a 2 or 3 sitting read, which it'll burn through a lot of people, one sitting. But yeah, it already reads quick as hell. Like I feel like if I were to go back right now, I could read this entire section that we've written. Probably not, but in about 15, 20 minutes, just because it reads so fast.
Yeah.
We might have chunky paragraphs, but it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the carnival bits because it's just such an open world at that point. Just a big sandbox.
If I could write nothing else the rest of my life, it would just be carnival, circus, amusement park, boardwalk stories. That's it. Like there's so much to plumb there, and you can have romance, drama, horror, sci-fi, fantasy, any number of things. Carnivals is they're just full of stuff to plumb. So yeah, I'm all about it because the other story that I'm writing is nothing like what we're going to be doing. So but yeah, if I had my choice and if I didn't have a choice and someone was like, you can only write one type of like setting for the rest of your career, it would 100% be that. I've also put the most research into that world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also one of those people, like anytime I read a new carnival book or watch a new show, movie, whatever, I'm nitpicky as fuck. Is like that's not how they do things. That is inaccurate. But I try and do that less and less. So let it be what it is, man. Let it be what it is. It also helps that the other carnival story that I'm telling is supernatural, and this one doesn't have any of that stuff. Trying to decide what I'm going to do today. Well, you're expanding and blending and all that stuff.
If I could only write one thing, I think that it would be like if I just had to write for the rest of my life some kind of series, I would stretch out like Skullface Boy over and just it'd probably get boring, but just all of the random encounters. That was probably the most fun to do, and I want to have some of those random encounters type things where, like the Hershey Kiss thing scene reminds me of something that might be found in Skullface Boy. Just what a weird random encounter,
Yep.
Like he pops in and he's staying with his family for a while, and what the heck? This chick's rubbing this thing on her belly, and they're
That's the immediate image when I started writing that scene. As the immediate image was there was like no point behind it. It's just in my head. I saw Bethany sitting there with this like a mortar and pestle kind of thing, but I was like, no, that's not it. So I'm like, it's like, what is she doing? And she's rubbing. It's a giant Hershey Kiss, and she's rubbing it on her belly. I'm like, so I Google. I'm like, is there cocoa butter in Hershey Kisses? And of course there is. So I'm like, fuck it. That's the reason why she's doing it. But that's the very first image I got when I started writing. Do I know where the love of circus or carnival started from? No, it's probably, I think, one of the earliest things that I remember watching is Something Wicked This Way Comes, the old Disney movie. And I've always just been a fan of like Halloween and carnivals and things like that. I don't know where it comes from, but I would say maybe it's watching that movie at a very, very young age and just being drawn in by the magic and the spectacle of a carnival and how they're there and gone. You know, none of those things are. There's, I mean, you have things like out in Vegas where like what is it, Circus. You have things like that, but just like a small collective of people just traveling around. There was something that really drew me about that. Also, just being there is like being in another world, another planet. There's nothing like it in day-to-day life. The closest thing you're going to get is maybe a carousel horse on one of those rocking machines outside of like your grocery store, you know. Do they even have those anymore? Like, I can't remember the last time I came across a store with one of those machines out front where you could ride. Wow, that's something that just like disappeared. Huh. That's interesting. I wonder why they disappeared. But anyways, I think it's it has a lot to do with escapism, and not being in a familiar place, but that unfamiliar place being nothing but fun. It's like the Willy Wonka dream, you know, you want to own your own chocolate factory kind of deal. Yeah, I think that's where all that comes from. Of course, I could be wrong. It could be something deeper than that, but mostly it's the escape. Still don't know what the fuck I'm doing today. Oh, and I also, if you find any weird things where I reference Bethany as Hunter or Hunter as Bethany, I swap their places in the rest of that chapter. So if I forgot any of them,
okay.
Yeah, I don't want you getting stuck on something like this is the wrong person. Yeah, trust me, I know. I had to go back and forth, or some his instead of hers in there, whatever. Just keep an eye out for that. All right. Do we know how we want to start the next day?
Good question.
Like, what time frame, or do we just want to jump into like the next evening? Could we have him, or maybe they send Cassidy and Shane out to get the baking soda or whatever to cut the drugs with, and along the way, Shane sees the flyer for the carnival or something like that, or they see the carnival being set up on the way into town, or so. I don't know. Some not on the way into town. They live in town, but on the way, I'm trying to think of a. I could probably just jump in and start writing it, but do you like that idea with them going out to get the stuff to cut it?
Yeah, it's just that we've established that so far that Cassidy is just so not down with
Anybody going
shoplifting.
with him? Yeah. Um,
Or Shane has established
yeah,
it.
I knew it. I knew what you meant.
They could have him doing some. They could have him like not even tell. Like Shane doesn't even know that where they've sent Cassidy, or maybe that he does. I don't know. They
Oh
could
yeah,
have
he'd wake
him.
up and him already gone.
They could have Shane dig a hole that he doesn't know what it's for. Um, which he thinks is weird considering Uncle Travis won't let them dig holes for, like their dog that
Yeah.
died. And he could think he's digging a hole for something else when eventually finds out it's a grave. Unless they're just gonna, Cooter could be in the trunk, or Cooter could just be dead at home.
Very true. Mm-hmm.
But if they did have him digging a hole, I don't know what the excuse could be that he would buy into right away for a little while anyway. Could be
I mean, well, it wouldn't be a very big hole, but I was thinking maybe he could assume it, or Trav could even tell him that it's to hide the drugs, and then as he's working, Trav just keeps saying, "Hey, that ain't big enough. That ain't big enough." He's like, "How much do you?" It's like, "Boy, you know, do as I say," kind of thing. Whatever. Um,
yeah.
and just keeps digging, keeps digging, keeps digging. I don't know if, I mean, Shane has been bold as fuck, but would he argue that much with Trav? Did Trav threaten him with a whooping or something to get him to just go out there and not even explain it, and then he could go through his head what, and I could make that stretch for quite a bit. Him in his own head wondering what the fuck he's doing digging a hole. I can try that and see how it works.
Yeah. Well, like he doesn't question it at first because he doesn't realize just how big this hole needs to be
Right. Right.
until dude comes out and he's like, that ain't gonna cut it. But I don't know, burying the.
I think we'd be fine just doing him being told to dig the hole. He asking where Cassidy went. Is like, we sent him out for the baking soda. We need you to, and he's like, I'm gonna go try and find him. He's like, no, I need you to dig a hole for me. And he's like, what? Whatever. And then see how it happens naturally. Then we can always change it later. And you have him out there, and it's like he's digging, and the day's getting longer. And every time he thinks he's done, Trav be like, nope, that's not good enough. We need it bigger. And he's like, they're just fucking with me. And it's just constant angry emotion just building, building, building. And then, I don't know, maybe they send him to his room and he happens to sneak out and see them put the body. I don't know how you want to do that. Do you want Shane to know what happens with the hole, or do we want to keep that secret? Like, he could wake up in the middle of the night and look out the back window and see them.
I think that I like it that there isn't 100% for sure this is what, but the reader and Shane pretty much know what's going. Like they've been given enough clues, but never told.
Right. Yeah, I
Um,
can can manage that.
Like he doesn't actually see it, but starting to put the clues together. I'm also wondering because I'm fusing I'm dipping into your thing here, and they're talking about. So me and Hunter went and seen Cooter just now. Now with them having killed Cooter, do they want to even bring up Cooter's name, or because I haven't read much further in this? Do they
I
want?
think with Rita is kind of like what the fuck you go over there for kind of deal. But I wrote it two different ways. I went back and changed it after I read some of your stuff, so I'm not sure exactly. I'm not 100% sure what happens, but I know Rita's like you're bullshitting, and then tries the coke, and then Bethany tries it, and they're like, "Ooh, shit, this is the real deal," and then all conversation about Cooter just disappears. And I think that's what I was trying to do with that was have the conversation end without ending, without any answers. um but
Okay.
yeah,
Or we
maybe.
could, or have them say, so got the score as promised or whatever, and then he says something that makes Rita think that he was at Cooter's. So he said, "So you went to Cooter's?" And he's like, "I'm not. That's not what I'm saying." So he's like, everybody pretty much knows he's talking about Cooter, but he doesn't come out and say it because Cooter's in the trunk.
Yeah.
You know,
What are we gonna do with Shibby? Or are we even gonna tackle that? Like, is it gonna
that's
be?
a good question too.
You want to get dark, it could be both of them. Like,
Right.
it could be two bags in the ground instead of just one. It's like literally I could do something with looking out there, looking out the back window, and he sees them toss a bigger bag followed by a smaller bag in there. It's like, what the hell is that? We can't afford trash pickup now. They're burying trash. But Shane's smart also. So it's like it can't be a body because one of them's one size, one of them's the other side. And if I don't know, maybe we shouldn't mention Cooter at all. And that way it'd be,
More of a
later.
surprise.
Yeah, it'd be later on when Cassidy and Shane are on the phone. It'd be like, there's nobody at Shibby's house. Ain't seen Cooter. Shibby ain't been around. And then Shane can start piecing things together. Is like the big bag and the smaller bag.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a cool build up. Not knowing what the fuck's in there, knowing that it might be a body. Shane, knows, just hasn't put two and two together. We've already established that Cooter sells drugs, right? Or is it just that his house isn't?
Yeah. Nope. And he's got guard dogs.
Right. Okay. So, dogs, empty bowls. Like Cassidy can bring up the things like the dogs are out there. I don't think they've been fed or watered because their bowls are empty. It could be any number of things. Like one of them got sick in the dish and no one ever cleaned it up or whatever. It's like I haven't heard from Shibby, I haven't heard from Cooter, and that's when Shane, puts everything together. It's like the big bag, small bag. It's like, oh shit. And he's like, dude, I think they're dead. I think they're buried in the backyard. And maybe another another phone call later on. Cassidy, I was like, I know you told me not to, but I dug up while everybody was asleep. I snuck out while everybody was asleep. I dug it up, and I got just the top layer off and pulled open the bag, and it was a toe or some shit like that. I don't know, something along those lines. He finds out where they went or what happened to him, and then after that one, it would be radio silence. Like he would start missing phone calls after that one. So it can be a logical conclusion that Cassidy finally got caught or is in trouble or whatever.
What about at the beginning, or I just thought of an excuse to dig the hole that gets dark.
Okay.
What if like when he's asked to dig the hole, he's like, well, what do you need the hole dug for? And then Uncle Trav just says, oh, Bruce is dead. You need to bury him. And there was no like, just very like all of a sudden, what do you mean? Like the dog wasn't sick. Nobody's mentioned a thing. And so it's like,
yes,
Uncle
but
Trav.
also, and that could explain why he's okay with the smaller bag. He's like, okay, so they must be burying Bruce, but what the fuck is the big bag?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I keep going. If I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just my
No,
brain
just
goes.
yeah, that Uncle Trav just looking for some kind of excuse and not being an animal lover anyway, just being
Yeah,
a POS. Yeah, killed the dog is just kind of a scapegoat, and
as a cover up. Yeah.
this is
Okay.
why. Yeah, like he
Yeah.
thinks that's being smart and covering all his.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. Truly creative writing. Thanks, Ishmael. Let's see here. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna pick up.
And then when you ask him to dig it deeper, he's like, the dog's not that big. I mean, it's like, maybe like Irish setter size collie, something like that, and maybe golden retriever. And he's like, "Well, yeah, but I don't. We don't want that thing stinking up the yard."
Yeah. So
More excuses, and
as
then
deep as possible. Yeah.
the more Shane digs, he's like, this is
This is ridiculous. Yeah,
something something
it's
don't feel
also
right."
going to be building up in his head with the missing jewelry box. They done sent Cassidy out one more time to steal, so on and so forth. It's just everything is just building up, and then later that evening he's going to run into Shenna, and that's going to be it. He's going to make the decision.
Yeah.
So let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
All right.
But I'm wondering, how do you want him to come? I don't know why I'm stuck on this, but before we jump back into this, I'm probably going to take a break too. But how do you want him to come across the carnival? That's the only thing that I don't see in my head.
Go.
Do we want him to see a flyer, or do we want him to just like stumble across it when he goes out? But why is he going out? What is he?
Right. My first thought was to have Cassidy be excited and bring home a flyer when he's out, but then it's like, well, that's kind of a dick move on Shane's part because he's leaving the dude behind when he's the one that wanted to go in the first place. So,
what if Cassidy takes too long? Nobody in the house gives a fuck, but Shane decides to leave anyways. He's already been digging this hole all day. Cassidy hadn't come back, and he's getting worried about Cassidy. And then we can have something like Cassidy had to go hide because he got caught again without Shane there. And so Shane goes out to find him without their permission. It's like, I'm going, you can't stop me, kind of. I don't know, maybe you don't want to do that, but he goes out anyways without their permission to find him because he's been gone for hours and he hasn't been back. Nobody's noticed. Or would they? No, because he's only bringing back cutting materials. They're not going to be worried about that. It's not like he's bringing back drugs. And then so he goes out, and as he's walking along, just kind of walking through the neighborhood and whatnot, he sees Cassidy coming toward him. And he's like, "Where the hell you been?" He's like, "I had to hide in a field for so many hours because I got caught shoplifting, and there was cops everywhere, but they're off my tail now." Maybe something like that.
Yeah, we could do that.
And then then he can see. Oh, and then Cassidy can pull it out, and he goes, "Wouldn't it be cool to go something like this? I found this flyer while I was hiding. It was on a telephone pole out, on the side of the road. Wouldn't this be cool?" Kind of deal. So I don't know, something like that. I'll let it happen naturally, but I need to get. I'm working on the whole next. So I'll get that going and see what.
I don't really like the idea of Cassidy knowing about the fair or the carnival.
Okay, you don't like that idea. All right, that's fine.
Just because I don't want Shane looking like the bad guy at all, like he's really ditching,
Yeah, he can see it. Like, he can be walking to find Cassidy, see it
if he's going to look
pole.
for Cassidy, the first place he's going to head toward is the store.
Yeah, he's going to find he's going to find the flyer, tear it off, fold it, put it in his pocket or something, like just see it, acknowledge it, and then decide, and go check this out later on, not mention it to anyone. He doesn't tell Cassidy because he doesn't want someone to ask Cassidy and Cassidy tell him where he went, that kind of thing. So yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. I agree with you. I don't like the idea of Cassidy knowing either, because then he's definitely going to pull to go with him. Mm-hmm. And then where he's going to have a tag along we don't need. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take a break. When I get back, I'm going to jump into that. You want to share your stuff? It doesn't matter to me.
It could also be brought up in conversation, no flyer at all. Somebody.
Oh yeah, you could overhear.
Could mention it. Yeah, somebody over here.
Someone's car radio. When he gets to the store, someone's got the window down in their car, and it's an ad for the carnival being in town. It's like only one day, only one night left, or whatever, something like that. We could do that. Any number of things. I'll just see what happens naturally when I get in there. All right. I'll be back, guys. Okie dokie, I'm back. All right. Oh, I got a headache. You want me to share mine? Oh, you're on the phone. Never mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Sound like you're hooked up to a blood pressure monitor.
No, my sister just tried calling the phone, and the phone wouldn't go through, so I'm calling her back. But I don't know what the deal is. Frick, my phone sucks. I got a cheap phone, man. I don't see that. I got a Mac, I got a computer, I got a PC, I got a laptop. I don't see the sense in spending. My son just dropped $1,000 on a phone, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, my wife's that type of person, and I have a $49.99 phone. She's got a $1,700 Google Pixel or whatever it's called, the high end jokers. And mine was literally the free phone, but if I had bought it, it would have been $49.99.
I just got an Android Samsung.
Same here. I got a.
I mean, it's not like a flip phone or anything, but I don't need to, run a business on my phone or something.
The funny part for me is I also have the expensive PC setup, the laptops, all that stuff, but I spend the majority of my time on my phone, which is the cheapest device I have in the entire house.
I don't have, most people who contact me is through, except for like family and friends locally. It's usually like on Facebook, so I rarely get texts. Like I'll get texts from you, my brother sometimes, Hunter Shea, and the guys from Final Guys, and a couple like that. So other than that, man, and uh, I suck at texting. Like my thumbs, like my kids are just like lightning speed, and every word is correct, and I'm just like I'm slow at it, and then have to go back and fix like 20 words before I send the text. So I don't hardly do anything on my phone.
We are completely different in that aspect. I use speech to text, so you get a text message from me is usually full of errors. Just because I'm tired. By the time I like sit down with my phone, I'm tired of typing.
Mhm.
So I just use speech to text, and then I hit send without even reading it, and then I'll go back and like I'll put asterisks. I'll rewrite whatever typo it is, and then I'll put an asterisk by it. But it has made some hilarious errors over the years,
Yeah.
and I really should read. I really should read my stuff before I hit send. Um, and this has nothing to do with speech to text, but I got really fat thumbs, and typing. That's another reason why I use speech to text. This is a big reason why I use it. So as we all know, the N and the B are right next to each other on a keyboard, even on your phone's keyboard. And I was on Twitter and I was typing. I try to be the bigger man, but instead of typing B, I typed N, and I hit send. Yeah, I deleted it before anybody saw it, but I almost had a fucking stroke, dude. I literally almost had my vision tunneled, and I was like, delete, delete, delete. Fuck. And that still haunts me to this day that someone saw it and someone screenshot it before I got it down. But it was like maybe not even 3 seconds, because it posted and I saw it. Like I hyper focused on that, and I was like, what the fuck? And then it almost happened again a couple months later, but I caught it before I hit send. So I should know better than to, just click send automatically, but I do it anyways. Alex says, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think my most memorable like typo like that is it wasn't really a typo, but I was like 25 years ago I had this magazine, and I would get fan mail, and people would, this was back when I don't even think MySpace was out yet, but AOL, Instant Messenger and stuff, that's what I had. And I had like this following for the magazine, and yeah, I would get like fan mail and stuff, and met a lot of people online that loved the magazine. And there was this one chick, her name was Kat, I think, with a K, and we were talking, and she had sent some pictures or something, because I had a website and it had pictures of some of the readers and stuff, because sometimes I'd get these cool like horror or punk rock pictures, because the magazine would cover punk stuff and horror stuff. And so they would send cool pictures and stuff, and I would turn part of the website into like this gallery, almost like its own little Instagram. And so I got to know this chick through that. And we were talking on AOL IM one day, and I guess I didn't know, or I forgot who I was talking to, because I think you could have more than one window up at a time, I think. And then you just click on whatever window. And we're talking, and I said, and I think she was taking off or leaving, and I said, I love you, into the thing. And I saw that I had done it, and I just stared at it. I didn't know what to do. I kind of like started to panic, and I'm like, frick, what do I do? And then all of a sudden, it pops up, and she goes, oh my gosh, I love you too. I just feel so connected to you.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say. I didn't mean to type that. And yeah, I didn't talk to her too much after that, man.
She came back and expressed her feelings too, and you're like, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry.
I almost would have rather she'd been like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Rather than have her
100%
spill her guts like that.
100%, man. That's awkward as hell. The funniest typo I have ever been a part of. I did not write it, but I was editing something for someone, and I got to this part, and it's a futuristic story, and they have hovercrafts and hover bikes, whatever. And this lady is in on a hover bike, and she's going along, and she hits an air pocket or whatever the hell it was in the book. And what she wrote is one of the most unintentionally hilarious lines I have ever read in this otherwise very clean manuscript. it said, "A sudden shit plastered me to my seat." And I'm thinking, okay, she got scared and, blew out her back door or whatever, and now she's plastered to the seat. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, what the fuck? Like, there's nothing else in this book has been vulgar. So I make this note and I'm like, hey, you might want to consider. Now, I love foul language. Don't get me wrong. You might want to consider either adding more cussing so that we're prepared, like, 2/3 into the book for this, random gruesome scene where she shit herself and she's plastered to the seat. You might want to add more vulgar humor, or maybe rewrite this section. Like 3 days, full 3 days. And before that, I was hearing back from her probably every couple hours or whatever. The full 3 days goes by. She comes back and she said, "I'm sorry. I am so embarrassed. It's supposed to say shift with an F." And it just didn't occur to me that that's what she was trying to say. And boy, we laughed. Still to this day, I'll talk to her and we were like, "How's that sudden shit?" But that's one of the funniest ones I've ever come across, because it worked contextually. It just didn't fit the rest of the narrative. So I was perfectly fine leaving it, but I was like, here, throw some more vulgar shit in there, or maybe cut this one back and don't say shit.
I was in an anthology with a very popular author, and I was reading I normally don't read the anthologies that I'm in, but very rarely. But this one I was, and I was reading their story, and in there it said, in this book had been published, now, and I was reading my contributor's copy, and there's a line in there that said, they were trying to do some like metaphor, and it was so like black, it was like, and then it just said like there were like 8 capital X's, and I was like, oh man, dude did what I do. And they're like, I'll come back to this later. And so I contacted the publisher, who was like a kind of a friend of mine, or at least an acquaintance. And I said, hey man, I think you forgot to, get the rest of his, wordage here. And I knew, and I guess I should have guessed, because this particular author really, really likes to think outside the box. And sure enough, it was purposeful. And it was essentially there are no words, the blank cannot be filled kind of thing.
Wow. Okay.
And it sounds pretentious. It doesn't work at all, but that's what they were going for.
I have
like one. It was so black that XXXXX.
That's that definitely, that no matter how I think about that, it would, if I read that, it would be an error. It would be something like that. I think the only thing experimental I've actually done with words like that is for Richard Punch. I had a character in there that's very, very urban, and every other word was the N-word, and I didn't feel comfortable typing it out. But that's just how the character spoke. So I would literally put N with like 4 dashes. So like 2 M dashes right together for every time he said it. And I also did that for other slurs in the book, but yet I had cussing and everything else in there, trying to give it's like, this is not important. That's the only thing that I've ever done that was experimental, with like excising a word and using something different. Because I didn't want that to be the focus, but that was also the character development for that individual. Like, it was important that they spoke that way because it was realistic. And then, every other slur in the book is the same way. And I got a review from Beard, Well-Read Beard, that said, he's the only one who's ever pointed it out. Of course, it was a very limited release through my Patreon, but he's the only one that pointed it out. And he said, I think I understand why he did it, because that wasn't the focus. He didn't want people focusing on the hateful stuff. And that's why there's cuss words and everything in there, but he censored all of the slurs. And that's 100%. Richard Punch is a story that takes place over 15 minutes about a guy getting punched in the dick. And it's the immediate onset of the pain, all the way through. You know how long it goes up into our stomach, and then
Yeah.
it lasts about 10-15 minutes. So I wanted to encapsulate this entire novella in that 1 15-minute time frame, and everything that's happening. And the point of the piece, it's complete literary fiction. It's very character oriented. There's really no plot to speak of. And it bounces around to each one of these people that are surrounding the man who's been hit in the dick. And it's going around to each one of their heads and showing the viewpoint. And what I was trying to get across, and I think Beard caught on to it, was, everybody has their different ways of looking at things and trying to, it was my attempt to bring everyone in that circle together to have some kind of common theme. And I thought any of the slurs that would have been popped into people's heads or that were said aloud would take away from that. So, it's like unity, even though people talk a certain way and they have to be able to talk a certain way, it's still that section is about unity, about people coming together and finding the common thread. Because there's a guy in the crowd that has on a MAGA hat, and the only reason he has a MAGA hat on is because his mom recently passed away, and she was a Trumper, and she wore it, and he himself was a liberal, but he would keep the hat, because it reminded, and he didn't give a fuck what anybody thought of him either. So I had a character like that. I had an old lady who didn't consider herself racist, but everything that came out of her mouth was racist. And then I had basically all the stereotypes I could think of. You had the black dude who every other word was the N-word, and then you had a black girl who ran the bookshop that was where the guy got punched in front of. And then there's a little bit of a romance between the bookstore girl and the black dude, where they make a connection because you got this big group of white people. They're the only two black people. Anyways, but it felt right to write it like that, to get the dialogue right. But at the same time, I wasn't going to write that word over and over and over again. And on top of that, it was important for me to have another side of the story. Like, my wife can't stand the word. She doesn't use it. She doesn't like it when her family uses it. She can't fucking stand the word. So I was playing off that too, where the girl's like, you really shouldn't say that all the time. And he's like, yeah, whatever, man. That kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the most experimental thing I've ever done with words. But I think that's a huge mistake on their part for leaving that in, because no matter how you think about it, it's like I was talking about the other day, where some people will write like the first two numbers of a year and then put a dash to make it timeless. Mm-hmm. It always feels like an error to me. It always feels like they were supposed to go back and fill that in. Yeah. So that definitely, had I seen, all those X's, I would have been like, well, they fucked up and forgot to put the word he wanted to put in there or something.
For sure.
Or a printing error or whatever it might be.
I think I just got a 1 star for using the N-word. I still read all my reviews, and I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't bother me. 1 stars don't bother me. And once in a while, on a 5 star or a 1 star, sometimes I look at the profile, and if the person who gave me 5 stars, if everything they've read is a 5 star, it makes me feel like,
yeah,
crap. Like, oh geez,
yeah, they love everything.
I don't feel so special. No. And this 1 star, I clicked and I was like, okay, what what do you like? Because this is for How the Skin Sheds, and and I saw that nothing else was getting 1 star, so I looked at their books. I typed in my name to see if they'd have ever read me before. Mm-hmm. This is something I do all the time, but for some reason, I just decided I want to do this because they never said anything in their review or in their rating. It was on Goodreads. And they had read 9 of my books, and every single one of my books, except for this one, all 5 stars and a couple 4 stars. And so, yeah, I can't help it. I was like, this is either.
If they didn't actually write the review, if you don't know why they gave you the 1 star, it might also, it's for the Western, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also a book that people are saying it's the best thing I've written, but it does have, the N-word sprinkled throughout, and 11-year-old girls raped off screen, and I handle it tactily, just like the pale white, no sense in, having that all. So it's either the rape or the I mean, it's brutal too. You know.
It could very well be a matter of none of those things are typical Lutzke. I mean, none of those things. The brutal assault, the I guess the gore. The only thing I've read of yours that was like truly violent was Cannibal Creator, and that's like an outlier too. I considered it an outlier anyway. That's not something I ever thought I'd read from Chad Lutzke.
Yeah.
It's just not something that I thought I'd see. And then it's a Western. But I mean, if you know what you're getting yourself into with that cover, so I'm not sure. Yeah,
it could be the Western thing. I don't know though. I don't know.
It's funny that you mentioned that. You bringing up literally my video for what is it, Friday the 11th. So yeah, tomorrow is unsolicited advice. Why I suggest only reading negative reviews. And what you said was, you going and checking out the person who reviewed their profile, like not in a stalkery weird way, but just seeing what else they liked. I actually mentioned that in doing that in that video, which is if you're going to follow someone's reviews, if you're going to look for certain reviews, you want to make sure that you are going over to their other books and finding out what they like and they do like, they like and they don't like. And then when you go over there, if you guys have the exact opposite, their negative reviews can help you find good books. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I said. So it's just funny that you bring that up, and my video tomorrow is all about that.
That's cool. I look forward to watching that. Yeah, like I said, those reviews don't bother me. I learn if they talk about something, I can learn something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That maybe people who are being biased just because I love all my stuff that maybe I need to pay attention to. I think there are two reviews actually that I did not appreciate, and they were both for the same book. Have you read Stirring the Sheets?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, one was like from a very outspoken feminist standpoint. I'm so tired of men thinking they can do whatever they want with women, kind of thing. And then the other one was
you told me about that one because we were both saying, like, obviously they didn't read the fucking book.
No, this was probably this is a different one. Which I
think we talked about both these. Go ahead and continue on because I think
the feminist one was actually from a YouTuber that I'm sure you're probably familiar with, but I don't think she's given me another chance since then.
Yeah,
and the one that you're probably referring to is the one where they kept making references about how this man was raping this body. Right. And if you read every other thing, it tells you if you've been having reservations about reading this because you think it's about necrophilia, there is absolutely no necrophilia in here. There's nothing, and she's like, this guy's raping bodies and we don't know if he just likes to rape dead bodies or if it's like, what are you talking about? There's a very specific reason why he has any I don't even want to call it an attraction, why he chooses this particular body to try and fill a non-sexual void in his life.
It's a beautiful story. It really fucking is a beautiful story.
Thanks. Yeah, that's the only one that really pissed me off because the whole review was just nothing but lies.
I find this hilarious because I believe I said in my review, my written review, but it's gone now because it was over on Goodreads and I've killed that name. But I believe what I said either that or it was in my video review, one or the other, it doesn't matter. But I remember going into it expecting that. And then at some point in time, I was a little, I don't want to say disappointed, but some people, and I can understand that. I was shocked that it didn't go there. I think it was one of the first, but I was after I read Skullface Boy. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't entirely sure what you were capable of, as far as how far you would go. So I wanted to read something that seemed like it was going to be pushing the boundaries. And I got into that and I was like, that's not what this is about at all, but I still fucking love it. Like it's, I think we get too hung up on our expectations for things. And I've found myself, especially recently, going, just let it play out. Because also I've seen all these stupid stories of people flipping out about authors thinking that an author thinks or feels a certain way because something happens early on in the book, only to come to find out when after they DNF it that it is explained completely by the end. It's like, that's not how someone acts, or that's not how someone would do this or whatever. And then by the end, you come to find out that that's exactly the point, that, you know, it wouldn't occur like that or whatever. And another thing that drives me nuts is the men writing women Twitter. It used to be hilarious because they would look at the context of a situation in a book, and they would post stuff that was really terrible, like, you know, like the famous line about John Updike in Witches of Eastwick, where he said women's plumbing and reproductive organs, all that stuff, is like a labyrinth, and it takes them forever to pee because it has to travel through this labyrinthine system or whatever. Obviously, that's stupid. It's incorrect. But then Haruki Murakami won like worst sex scene of all time for, I think it was 1Q84. And what people fail to realize in context is it's supposed to be a bad sex scene. It's supposed to be awkward. It's supposed to be weird. It's not supposed to be erotic. And I wish more people would understand that just because there is a sex scene in the book between consenting adults, it does not mean that it's meant for you to get your rocks off. You know, some of these things.
Oh, I've had plenty of bad sex. We all have.
Yes, but what I'm saying is also, that's the point of in the context. They didn't show the paragraph above it or the paragraph beneath it. They just showed the sex scene. And before that, he sets up how awkward and uncomfortable they are with each other's bodies, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And then by the end of it, they're like, okay, well, we're never doing that again because that was the most awkward, worst experience of our lives. Yet they just crop that, and I love that Twitter account for the longest time, but then they just crop that, and ever since then they've been reaching for content. They've been reaching and picking stuff up, and here I am. I've read some terrible shit from women that I don't, you know, I try to bring it up every time I see this stuff, because the Sisters of Slaughter have one of the funniest lines I've ever read as far as anthropomorphizing body parts. His penis lay depressed and dejected on his nuts. It's like, a penis cannot be. Everybody's mad about the personification of women's boobs, you know, or whatever their physical attributes is. And here we have two women, whichever one it might have been, think that a penis can be dejected and depressed. It's like the dick is limp. There's nothing deeper about it. The dick is not hard. It's just gonna lay there. What the fuck is going on? I don't understand. Anyways, but we all fuck up. Men tend to write sex worse because they write from a male point of view, and then women come along, and there's always that divide that we're both looking for something different when it comes to, you know, sexual relationships. And if a dude gets it wrong, fine, but at least put the context for the rest of the scene without trying to reach. And that's what a lot of people do nowadays, especially with social media. They see that certain things are popular, and then they start mining things that are innocent so that they can cause more drama. And I cannot stand that shit at all. And I'm saying that as a fan of that Twitter account, because I thought that shit was hilarious before they just started pulling shit out of their ass that made no sense.
I don't subscribe to any of that. I know that some people do, but to any of that, you know, write what you know, and guys shouldn't write this, and or people shouldn't write this. It's fiction. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a self-help book that's teaching you how to be a woman. It's just fiction. And if a woman or a person that is a white guy and a black guy wants to write me, who am I to, like, all of a sudden act like we're all in the same box? You know, we're all very, very different people, and a black guy is perfectly capable of doing very outlandish, wild things that another black person has never met anybody that does these kind of things.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just like Jeffrey Dahmer was a gay cannibal. I'm not saying that, you know, if he never existed, but yet I wrote about, and I created fictionally that character. I'm not saying gay people eat people.
Right.
And
right. No. Yeah.
You know, it's just, we're all as a human race, we're all very capable of being. We are individuals, and we're all very capable of doing very bizarre things despite our race, color, or gender.
Yeah. Like I said in my Let Fiction Be Fiction video, it's like, I guarantee you, if it is humanly possible, someone has tried it. It's what, no matter who, what sex, gender, any of that stuff, race, creed, religion, any of that stuff, someone has tried something.
Mhm.
If it is humanly possible, like if there's something on this earth that will fit in your body, someone has put it in an orifice at some point in time, even stuff that's not supposed to fit.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know. It boggles my mind, especially when I read reviews like, this would never happen, no one would do this. And unfortunately, I've been guilty of saying that in the past. I've since stopped, but because I didn't even understand why I was saying it, knowing damn well that there's some freaky shit out there, that people have done. I mean, there's a whole rotten.com is full of, or I don't even know if it still exists, but it's got everything you could possibly think of.
Yeah.
And there's other websites that aren't
Yeah,
on
there's
like the Tor browser, the dark web, that you can find just on the regular internet that have the most awful shit humanity has ever done. I think the most disturbing thing I ever saw, this video is definitely getting demonetized, but anyways, I think the most disturbing thing I ever saw was, there was this lady, she's bent over, she's on the back of her neck. So this is the back of her neck in the shower, and her ass is up and kind of leaning over, and she's spraying fecal matter up, and it's raining down into her face. I think that's the most disturbing shit, no pun intended, the most disturbing shit I've ever seen in my life. It's like, why would you set yourself up? Why would you take a picture, do something like that? And then I see reviews that say, no woman would ever sleep with this dude, or something like that. And I was like, I promise you, there is a woman out there right now reading that same book going, I love this guy, and I would take him to Pound Town in an instant. I promise
you. Yeah, for sure. And
Hey,
there are
Connor.
a lot of people who you could tell they very specifically are searching for something. Almost all of
Yeah,
my reviews for The Pale White by women say something like, "Can't believe a guy wrote this," or "He handled sexual assault and women," because it's first person from a sexual assault survivor, and it's for a guy to write that is very touchy. Most of the reviews will say, that it was handled perfectly well, or I nailed it, or something like that. But you can always tell the one person who's like, "Oh, this is written by a guy. Yeah, we'll see about that." And they're searching for little things that they personally can't identify with,
right.
or how they would have handled. That's why the three girls have three different reactions to their assault, which is how I know plenty of people have been assaulted.
Hmm.
Some girls, the tiniest little instance in their life ruins their whole life, and then you've
Yeah,
got this girl who is darn near trafficked, and she's doing fine. That the trauma response is not one and the same,
right.
and everybody is very different, and that's what that book is about. Is each individual dealing with their own trauma and trying to be free when they are trying to find freedom after they've been set free. And yeah, you can just tell
I mean,
who's just
I've seen
searching, like the people who write Erica Rocca's. I'm so tired of cis white men writing, or the Stephen Graham Jones. I'm tired of white men writing about Indians. It's like,
I
you're
still
wrong.
love that review. I love every time he shares it, and then he usually shares it with a picture of himself right next to the review, and that shit, that just it tickles me every time I see it. But I mean, I've seen every from sexual assault. I've seen every trauma response to completely shutting down from the world, to going out and being the biggest nymphomaniac, humanly possible, because that's what they equate with love. Is that physicality.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it, there's the book that really changed my perspective, and it was a book. So I mean, if you're one of those people out there listening right now that think that we're wrong, that not everyone has tried everything, there's a book called Precious, that was written by Sapphire, and the grown woman has been molested all of her life by her father. And there is a scene in there where she enjoys the sex. And this is written by a woman, probably who maybe based on her own experience or whatever, but everyone was so appalled by that, that she would enjoy it, and to take advantage of this incestuous relationship to get her rocks off kind of deal is pretty much how it's written. Like, I might as well enjoy it. And that really got to me. But at the same time, I looked at it and I was like, there's got to be someone out there like that. You know, if
Dude, there's a lot.
I know. But ever since then, it's like opened my eyes, and I've seen some really fucked up shit. There's a dude in, I can't remember. There's several states that incest isn't a crime in America. And there's this dude who moved there and took his daughter, who was 11 at the time, and now she's an adult. They have a consensual sexual relationship, and now they live, I can't remember if it's Connecticut or where it is, but watching that breakdown, they're on TikTok, and he literally he'll answer questions from people. Is like, there's nothing wrong with this. We're both human beings. It's disturbing as fuck that it's even allowed. But I mean, it's not like he's showing what they're doing. He's just talking about it. And whether it's sensationalism or not, that it just adds more credence to, if we can do it if it's possible, someone out there has done it. Someone out there has enjoyed it. And also, it's that one thing, it's one of the oldest sayings we have, which is one man's trash is another man's treasure. You know, everybody's different. Everybody looks at things differently. And I'm just tired of fiction being used against the author as if that has to be their point of view, that has to be their standpoint. They have to feel that way, because I don't know. I might not be, but I am probably the most leftist liberal person. I don't know, maybe that, you know, like, I'm anarchist.
No.
Okay.
One of my best friends is very, very far left. We agree on absolutely nothing.
Okay. All right. So, but anyway,
I'm not saying I'm far right. I'm just saying that
I get you.
Yeah, we don't.
I get you. But all I'm trying to say is, with me, I wrote South of Here. I don't condone any of the shit that James says in that book. He says some awful fucking shit, awful, terrible stuff, and that's another reason why I didn't write it in first person, because it was already obvious that this person is not someone's head that I want to be in. But I still wanted his deep reactions to things. But writing him was so much fun. You know, getting in there and making him as despicable as possible, and then one-upping him by the people around him to a point where people will end up liking him, even though he has these terrible thoughts and ideas and plans and focuses and all this stuff, that there is always much, much worse than what you see, you know, than who you're experiencing. There's far worse out there. And once again, that theme is back, South of Here. You know, no matter who you are, there's someone willing to go lower than even you. You know, there is no limit to the depths of our depravity. Anyways,
I don't think that like, I know what you're saying, and I disagree with the whole reader associating the book with the author and their viewpoint. However, there is a gray area in that for me, and that is like, let's say South of Here, that's all you wrote. You had like 15 South of Heres. At that point, I would, you know, and that's sometimes, you know, I see some of these extreme authors, and it's like every book is just rape this, rape that. It's like, you're trying to tell me your mind is not, you know, if you're writing one story, like Duncan Ralston wrote Womb, and then he moved on and he wrote a bunch of other stuff that wasn't even close to that.
Right.
That seems normal to me. But if you're writing Womb Part 15, you are, that's saying a lot about you.
But there's also the camp of,
unless you're doing it for money, because Womb, the first one, just took off, and you're cashing in.
I was just about to go there, because that's what Richard Lehman had a problem with. Back then, for some odd reason, and even Dean Koontz has talked about this and why he doesn't put sexual assault in his books anymore. Back then, when Koontz and Lehman were good friends, and they were, you know, churning out books like, you know, two, 3, sometimes 4 books a year, the publishers were having them add in rape, and all different kinds of stuff. And the reasoning for it is because it was you got what Last House on the Left and all this other the cinema and everything where it's not glorified, but people are going to see it. And of course, the mindset for some odd reason is like people are going to see it because it's they like watching it or whatever. But with Dick in what happened with him is he didn't. Sorry, I still talk about him in the present tense. He was nothing like that. He was a very sweet, kind man. Did everything. He'd do anything for anybody. And he was pressured into adding, the sexualizing everything, adding a lot of sexual assault and all that stuff. So while I agree with what you're saying, it also depends on the time frame. Because sometimes if you write, he's got 20, 30 books at least, every single one of them in a row, all of them have sexual assault. So it's, once again, there's still no telling if someone is writing, and I get what you're saying, it does feel a little creepier if that's all they're doing is Womb Part 23 at this time. But at the same time, yes, there is, like you said, there's the money aspect of it. What is selling?
I'm mainly talking about.
Popular.
I'm not talking about career authors. I'm talking about people who you could, they might be bringing in a couple books, but ultimately, this is a hobby. You're not making that much money to.
Right.
And so, you clearly know by now that your this extreme stuff that you're doing, the rapey stuff, is not paying the bills.
Yeah.
So it's what you usually write. Unless it comes to money, people often write about just what they appeals to them.
Unfortunately,
if that is what they're writing over and over and over again, then I can't help but start to wonder, what do you got? What do you got inside you? I wanted to, before I forget, I wanted to tell you, that Talking Scared podcast. I'd never listened to it before, but they just nabbed the Stephen King interview, and it's available to listen to right now, and it's a great interview.
Cool.
And I thought you would like it because it talks about a lot of stuff I think you would find interesting in it, including that scene in It he talks about for a while.
Okay. I'm gonna email myself just so I don't forget.
Yeah, it's about an hour long, and it's informative. And you kept popping in my head. I can't remember anything specifically, but he would talk about something, and I'm like, I bet you would love to hear this, including future projects.
Okay. All right. All right.
Who started this? Distraction? Someone ask a question.
I don't know. I don't even remember. It's way up here. If it was, I don't think it. I think it was just us going down like a natural rabbit hole. I think that's what just happened. That's all that was.
I was trying to find somebody else to blame.
Yeah, I know. That's all right. This can be the lost episode. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't think anybody's going to have any problems because most people know us. Everybody who watches these videos is well versed in us, whether it be our work or our personas. So. I had to run off to the restroom. I'll be right back.
Hey, Haley. Hmm.
Hello, Haley. Sorry, everybody. All right, let's get back to work.
We found a charcuterie board in
The music, Haley, is a somebody I know shared. It's an 11-hour stream of noir LA dark jazz radio.
Hmm.
And I thought I'd write to it.
It's funny because some of it sounds like horror movie music, and you over there clicking away sounds like someone trying to get out of, like, they've been buried alive and someone's trying to get out of a coffin. So it's very atmospheric. I mean, it doesn't work with what we're writing, but it's very atmospheric.
Right now, it reminds me. This particular song reminds me of the Gold Room in Stanley Hotel.
Ah,
I don't know how much you can hear it, but
I hear like bits and pieces of it every now and again, but it fits.
hey, E, you gonna get that? Do you got an Xbox or PlayStation?
I actually have we have every console generation in the house, but right now, anyways, I have access to them all. But right now the the Series S is in my oldest room, and then there's the PlayStations up front. We got a Switch. So I have access to all of them. What do you?
A week from tomorrow, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game comes out.
Ah, cool. Yeah. The only thing I don't have is a good gaming PC, but I'm working on that. Money just for reasons I've talked about, and money's tight as fuck now. But I am interested in that one. I'm very interested in it.
If you've got an Xbox Game Pass, I think that's being released on Game Pass.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we have access to that.
So I'm gonna definitely. I can't wait. I saw a trailer for it. It looks good. It looks like, I don't know if you've played the Friday the 13th game.
Yeah, I played that one. I played the Evil Dead one, and I played Dead by Daylight. They're all pretty much the same build. Other than with Ash, the Evil Dead game, you get weapons, whereas in Dead by Daylight you don't. If you unlock Tommy, you unlock a rifle in Friday the 13th. But I haven't played that nearly as much as I've played like Dead by Daylight and Evil Dead.
Okay, I've only played Friday the 13th. That game is cool. This looks like it might be. It looks like you could be like either one of the Sawyers, or you can be like one of the victims.
Sounds cool. Yeah, it's the same way in all the rest of the games. You can either be the like in Evil Dead, you can be a Deadite. Well, if you die, you become a Deadite. And in Dead by Daylight, you can choose. Well, you can't choose. It's like a roll of the dice whether or not. I think maybe not. I think you can choose now whether you want to be the bad guy or you want to be the slasher or the people or the victims. But I think when it first started out, it was a roll of the dice what you got. But it's same thing with Friday the 13th. You can be Jason too. I think it's far more fun being the killer than it is running away.
I like them both, because if you get tired of one, you can but you like the game, you can whole different mechanics playing the other thing.
keep writing the wrong hole.
You talking about vagina and butthole, or are you talking about HOLE and WHOLE?
The latter, Chad. The latter.
Couldn't resist.
Yeah, I know.
You don't see really well. A reason.
Nearly 4 pages done.
Dang, man.
And with your layering and everything and adding more, all that stuff, yeah, I'm gonna leave that where I have it. See what you like, see what you don't like. Yeah, it's noon and we got to go grocery shopping. Probably gonna do another 30 minutes if you want to. I don't have anything left to write, but if you want to talk before we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically what I've done is I wrote the entire digging scene. Probably gonna need some expansion. Some of the stuff is a very almost like stream of consciousness because he gets hit at one point in time. So, and he becomes kind of repetitive and whatnot. Somehow I'm on my feet and back in the hole deeper. Trav said deeper. I dig deeper. I dig until the lip of the grave. It's not a grave. It's not. Is level with my shoulders. I haven't been to the doctor since a year before Mom died, and I've grown considerably in that time. So I have no idea how tall I am, but I'm pretty sure I'm over 5 foot something. Surely 5 feet is deep enough. Do I keep digging? I keep digging. Every shovelful weighs as much as the whole wide world, but I've carried heavier things. So, anyway, just letting you know where my mind was at with that section. So you're not like, why the hell does he keep on repeating himself? It's because he's probably got a fucking concussion. Anyway, that's got to be at least 1,000 words. 4 fucking pages. Well, probably 3.5, but. Ooh, I can go up and read some of your shit. As soon as I scroll up, the first thing I see is porn star eyes, but it's got the hyphen in there. Anyways, the M dash. It's like, what the fuck did I stumble across? Finding a corn in return. Somebody's missing that. Damn it, boy! I was just about to do the same fucking thing. Scared the hell out of me. I was literally just about to change at to ain't, and here you come. You were supposed to be up there working. Fuck off. No. Oh, no. Get your fucking hand out of there, man. No. Ugh. Anyways. How do you spell this word?
Smokey! Shut your mouth! Come on, Joe. Go to bed. Go on.
One of the dogs is in trouble now.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's to you, baby Dwayne. Oh my God. Yeah, I like that. He's watching every moment, hearing every bounce, bad sound. Yeah. All right. Good shit. Good shit. And I know you'll be working. I know you'll be working in the background too, and I'll probably end up jumping into it more. I'm rounding the final curve in this novelette I'm writing. Once I get that done, I'm back to this almost wholeheartedly. So I'll be able to work on all I'm saying is I'll have more time to work on it off camera is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So it's going to be ramping up here pretty quick. So another thing is I want to make sure that it's all right that I'm going so far ahead. I want to make sure that, we're on this the same page kind of. I want you to be able to write some of these scenes yourself. So, or if you're just comfortable doing what we've been doing, if you're happy, I'm happy. I don't care one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, hang on a second, I'm tallying.
We got to be over 12, I would think.
Yeah, we're at 13,651. So we've got in about 1,600 words today.
Yeah, we'll.
No.
No?
2,600?
I wrote a lot. So, yeah, I mean,
26.
I wrote
I
several.
wrote more. I think I wrote more this morning before than I actually did during this session.
Yeah. And we also spent like an hour chatting. So
yeah, and Greg
was a really good day.
Chat, talking to me about stuff.
Yeah. The Neon Demon soundtrack is awesome too. I don't know why I thought you were talking about Neon Owl. I mean, I read Demon 3 times, but I was like, Chad, you have a Neon Owl soundtrack?
Not yet.
Who was it? Someone put a track list in the back of their book, and the songs that they listened to. I thought I wrote and listened. I thought I listened to weird stuff when I was writing certain scenes, but nothing on this dude's playlist felt right for anything that was in the book. And I'm weird in the with how I do it, because if I'm writing a very heartfelt scene that's full of emotion and passion or whatever, I'll listen to something like Slipknot or Slayer or something like that, something hard, and it makes those scenes come out interesting. Whereas when I am writing something that's supposed to be action or gory or violent or whatever, I'll listen to shit like Adele or Tom Waits, something very smooth. And that's so I can add the heart into the brutality or whatever's going on. I can have it. It lends. It's like, okay, don't forget to keep this at a human level. But yeah, this one guy, it was almost like a folk horror book, and he had some rap songs in there, some very recent rap stuff, and a couple other things. It just, none of it fit. Not a damn thing fit. And I was like, it's odd that you shared that, because it would be extremely hard to read your book while listening to this track list, especially the rap songs. I can't write or listen to rap at all. I get too hyper focused on the words. Now something like Cannibal Corpse or Metallica or something like that, I can play in the background. Same with Adele and Tom Waits, but for the most part, and I can ignore it. But if it's something that it focuses entirely on the rhythm of the words, that's what I get stuck on, is the rhythm of the words, and then I'm singing in my head and I'm writing what I'm singing, and it's a mess. But I'll be listening entirely to Tom Waits when we get to the carnival. It's just, his music is carnival music. It's nomadic, Roma, folky, all that stuff. He is the soundtrack to every carnival I've ever been to. Even if they don't play his music, all of it fits. So,
yeah, I can't hardly listen to anything as lyrics.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like that. I used to be like that too, but now I can. The more I know a song, this is the funny part. The more I know a song, the more I can ignore it. If I've heard a song 100 times and it has lyrics that I enjoy, I can usually just ignore it because my brain isn't processing what they're saying. It doesn't have to process because I already know what they're saying. But if I'm listening to something like I haven't listened to before, something I don't know the lyrics to, I haven't memorized, then I end up focusing on the lyrics because I don't know them. So
it's weird. I'm a complete opposite. If I'm familiar with it,
Wow.
I'm anticipating the next riff. I'm anticipating lyrics, melodies, and I'm more into it, even if it's something I've heard a gazillion times. But if it's something that has lyrics that I'm not familiar with, I part of me is still listening and judging whether I like the song or not. But most of my attention is on what I'm doing, and I'm using the mood of something that I'm not familiar with. As just like if I'm watching a movie and a song I know comes on, I'm like, oh, I know that song, and then I think more kind of about the song and how cool it fits. But then if I don't know the song, it's more like background for what I'm watching because I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's complete opposite of me. Thanks, Haley. Appreciate it. It's gonna be this is gonna grow considerably in the next week or so, because we're really getting into the meat and potatoes of the story, and it's gonna blow right by. I have a feeling we might end up more than 65,000. As I'm just sitting here, I always calculate like how much we still have to do and what we have been able to put in there so far with the word count that we have. It might end up being 75 or 80. But then we have to go back and clean it up, take out anything repetitive, take out all that stuff. It might shrink more in a second draft. I don't know.
So this is our our ninth video, but only our sixth one writing.
Seventh, because we had two videos that was brainstorming and outlining, and then we started the third one. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, seven episodes of writing.
Okay. So we've been writing about 2,000 words an episode.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, it's gonna get. I keep wanting to say it's gonna get much worse, but that's not what I mean. It's gonna get much quicker because I'm finally settling into the flow and the routine of working with you every day. It takes me about a week to get into a new routine, and I'm there now because I just blew out that entire section really nonstop. It's just I knew exactly where I was going, and I know where we're going after this. So if nothing else, I can make a foundation or a frame for you to build on. And that's just going to make all I'm saying is what I've said over and over again. It's going to get much quicker. Starting today. Like I said, we wrote 2600 today. We added 2600 anyways. And it's just going to get better. I don't know why I keep wanting to say worse. It's getting worse, Chad. I hate every minute of it.
I think once we get to the carnival, we will have to come out with some kind of because it's so open and random encounters, people that we're meeting, we probably have to buckle down a little bit.
I was thinking
otherwise we could both just go crazy, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, with all these different characters, and
that's kind of okay. Hear me out. It's kind of what I was hoping for. And why I say that is because it would work. He goes from the monotony, the daily routine, the horrible situation, this enclosed, almost claustrophobic feeling of being stuck in this house and having that monotony and that routine and everything being so bad that when he gets to the carnival, those first, like I would say upward of maybe 10 chapters would just be him having random encounters, and us going off and doing our own thing that really has no point other than to build the characters that he's interacting with. So I kind of like the idea that when we get there, it's kind of chaos and open worldish, and that he's all these new experiences are coming together, and he's like, this is almost like mom's back or whatever it might be. This is a place of freedom, and I also want to really play off of him doing certain things and expecting to get in trouble for them and not getting in trouble for them. Just because he's been programmed living with Travis and Rita for so long that every little thing is a fucking slight. Everything is like, is going to make them mad. And he goes from that to this complete open world, this freedom where he's completely free to be himself. He's got to I don't want to get deep, like he has to find himself. That's not really what I'm saying. It's more like, it's coming of age. It's him learning how the world works outside of this hellhole because he only has the small insular experience of the happy times with his mother. And then he has the insular experience of the bullshit he dealt with at the Charles house, and then he gets to this carnival and all bets are off. He's able to do and say and go wherever the fuck he wants to, as long as he's pulling his weight at the carnival. And that's the only thing, that they judge you based on how much you're willing to put in, and it's not really like it's a give situation with the Charles house, but at the carnival it's a give and take. Everybody's moving back and forth and whatnot, and I think the chaos of the carnival would actually give him more stability than the monotonous, brutal routine of the Charles house. So I'm throwing that out there. But I was kind of hoping, like I said, that we would do that when we got to the carnival. It'd be like you go off and then I'd write a scene that came like a couple days later. They really don't have anything to do with each other other than the character development of the people that he's interacting with. So, but
yeah, it makes sense.
Me getting all deep and literary in this piece, boy. No. Themes and all that shit. I saw some, and I know I want to close this out. I'll talk to you about this off this. I don't want to end on this, but I found something interesting, and I want to talk to you once we're done here. There's only 2 people in here. Anyways, we're gonna go, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. We will be back tomorrow. We'll keep going until Sunday. Sunday is game night, and I'll see you guys at 5 p.m. there, but I'll also see you tomorrow. So tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Saturday at 9 o'clock, and then Sunday will be a day off, And hopefully next week we're back on our schedule. I had to take Tuesday off this week, but next week we'll go Wednesday. We'll be off Wednesday and Sunday, and probably that way from here on out. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Chad, anything you want to say before we go?
Nope. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out.
Definitely. Until next time, all hail the